My findings have been that with those phonetically and tone of voice ambitious, when they're listening to others, they might think that demographic titles like the religious right, in the religious people's minds, it might seem like God is sending them a return signal saying, you're all correct, as opposed to, okay, yeah, they have the right to make themselves as religious as they want to be, but I don't think it should be classed as a human right, and with very good reasons. Pretty much every single religion that is on offer, its own teachers will spend quite a considerable amount of time and effort teaching anyone who believes in the religion itself that they're not they're more than human. It's essentially, or at essence, they're not human. You know, this is only a temporary existence, and like a teaser before the afterlife, they call it. And I prefer after death. I think they should use that term. Afterlife is, uh, I think it's bad. It puts this life into unnecessary risks. So maybe not. Maybe after death. But yeah, they should also be called the religious wrong, and it also shouldn't be that where we all agree we all should have the right to life, the right to health, the right to move, and the right to expression. All of those are vastly more essential to anybody's survival uh, and flourishing than and any choice to be involved in a religious club is secondary. Not only is it secondary, but it's counterproductive logically to everything we ever learned as children from stories like The Little Red Hen. You could be 4 years old and learn all about cooperation and teamwork from someone reading The Little Red Hen to you, but that you could learn all those morals, and you will not insist on going home to your room every evening and giving thanks to an invisible hen. You know, even when you were that young, the hen actually, if you believe the hen was real, it would have fucked with the story. It was supposed to be about helping you develop a conscience. It wasn't about claiming that hens exist when they don't, and they're little and red and they can talk. So when you start believing you have to be religious or you don't know morals, you go against books like that. So it should not be a human right at all. And the religious teachers themselves are the first to say, yeah, actually, you're really a soul that lives forever. You're not actually human. So why it shouldn't be a human right? They're religious wrong. Um, and I call the whole demographic the religious wrong. So let's all agree then that since religious people even agree that when they get to express their sacred right, the first thing they try to do with it is teach everyone they're not human. God made you uh, as part of this planet, starting with just one man, and then the first woman, she got all her woman's rights and no tampons, and she was created from his rib, and she was created for when he felt lonely. So, um, hang on. And because you think that story is so sacred, you like crucifixions, and then you celebrate how thankful you are for crucifixions, even though you can't tell the suicide apart from the self-sacrifice part, without saying, "Oh, then he must have floated into the sky." So you can't tell that apart, or the believers can't. And if you're not a believer, you don't have to celebrate any sort of incest story. In fact, they even like to keep that incest part so sacred to themselves that they'll say, no, the original sin was eating an apple. It wasn't the inbreeding. They had to do that at the time. It's like Game of Thrones, but cheesier with on a lower budget. Uh, the Tower. Who were the two that were in the same kingdom, but the brother? Anyway. So if you think Jesus died to preserve the sacredity of that Origins account, uh, anyway, I'd be looking for any distraction from it if I were a Christian. The other thing is this. So Christians are the sort of people who by the time they reach their 30s and they've taken communion every Sunday, oh, give thanks for the body, give thanks for the blood, they'll get to their 30s and their hair will start to fall out amongst the males more often in a circular way. It can be so that a circle is left and other hair falls off and they get like a ring of hair remaining, proportionate, coincidentally to the shape of the crown of thorns on Jesus' head, whose body they were eating when they eat crucifixions every Sunday. But when they start losing their hair, they'll call their local Christian hair doctor and say, "Oh, doctor, why have I been going bald?" And he'll go, "I bet it's workplace stress." So you are known as the religious wrong. It's not really your fault at this point, but you can burn a Bible soon. I wish you luck. Actually, also, most people's openness to think that drugs and substances that people can put in their mouths, whether they're from pharmacies or on the street, will ruin your lives and make your dick shrink and make your balls retract into your ass. But it's been taught and educated by men like Gary Kanza and Roger Toll that will do that sort of thing. And the religious people haven't gotten over how an apple used to cause original sin. So, they got all these weird theories. They haven't worked out that was, maybe inbreeding was worse than eating one apple for like the beginnings of a women's lib movement. So, tell any religious person that believes in the Bible that if you put anything in your mouth, it'll ruin your marriage and everything, and they'll pretty much be open to it. Also, yeah, Roger and Gary are saying that they love to say horrible things about the drugs they're not allowed to sell, but they won't caution you about known side effects that are potentially bad to drugs that are high profit that they do sell. And the pharmacist code of ethics is supposed to say a pharmacist will always take the health needs of the patient as the first consideration. But yeah, their slogan that they worked out, I thought was brilliant, was everybody needs the capital chemist. But they are very proud of the history of white Australia, so they should say, at least, if they want to be real with us, they should say everybody except for the overturned Aborigines needs their capital chemist. And then at least we can get the joke, how they honestly thought, a slogan like that would be, it's offensive either way, isn't it? But yeah, I think these disclaimers we see on music videos and art and video games, they all belong at the inside cover of the religious holy books, warning this may contain a story about the garden of inbreeding. That is more offensive, that story, than any rock song I've ever heard, any art piece or any game I've ever played on any computer or gaming console. So why is the disclaimer? And it's worse. It makes me feel sick just thinking of the story, than any side effect from any drug as well. So go and fucking figure.